All right, everyone, it's almost time. Almost that time. Crude oil session is about to begin. So here's our 377 tick. On the left is a spotlight 5-tick momentum bar. Of course, the right one counterpunch trader. Just a quick look, get a sense of what we're dealing with today range-wise. Lots of movement in the markets. As you can see, it may break out to the upside, 54.42, 53.27, so a little bit over $1 worth of range. Report is due out in about half a minute. We'll see it happen. I can see a few more people jumping in the trade room to join us for this, so welcome. Here it comes, there it is. So here's the range of the reaction. Let's just mark it pretty tight. As usual, we will wait our 2 minutes and then look for a trade. So there's a long that just appeared here, but it's in the squeeze zone. Would be filtered out, which is why it's gray. The 50 moving average pinching down on the 200, preventing a long setup. And it may change, and we'll see where we're at in another 50 seconds. All right, so breaking out, and now a possible long to pay attention to, but we still got plenty of time to wait. 54.28, good sized trade. It's a 30-tick target too, which makes sense because it's the first setup after the reaction. And it did trigger in, and we may have to get in sync with that. If we do, it would be at 31. We would make an adjustment from 28 to 31 just to prove it's going to go through. And that is going to be the first trade, 31. I want price action confirmation before getting long here. I'm willing to give up 3 ticks. Not that I like it, but if it keeps me from getting long, so you can see the targets, and so far so good. So 68 and 58 actually. There's a short. So that short now, oops, make a 1-tick adjustment. If you didn't get in, cancel the long. So that was at 14. Kind of want to get in at 13 if I can. I'm still flat because it already hit the entry. I didn't get in on the entry. Now I want more price action confirmation on that one as well to make it work to get me into that trade. Look how tight the price action is. That little adjustment might keep me from going short. I'm getting rid of these horizontal lines too because now they're in my way. But you see how I missed the entry, so then I want to go 1 tick lower because it hit the entry perfectly and then stopped. So now I want extra confirmation because now we have a long. Kind of have 2 going at the same time here. Let's see which one triggers in first. It's crappy price action, as you can see.
Order filled.
And the long did trigger in, so I'm canceling the short. And the stop's at 13. So can it break out to a new high here, or is it going to keep kind of going sideways? It's not my favorite type of situation, but if it does break out to the upside, that might be a good one to trail. So money management is right there at 36, if it can even get there. So far,
Order
it's pretty crap.
filled.
So it stopped out. That's too bad. Lousy price action to start. Let's see. There's a long now. Heads up. There it is.
Order filled.
All right, let's see if we can make some money on this. Looking for some follow through. Money management is at 56. Pretty good sized trade. So that one got long at 36, right? It's targeting 67 and 78, and the stop is at 09. Oh, great. Not fun. Stop and reverse at 29. We go 28 just because of that 50 moving average. Hopefully it stays long. Now the failure to get higher could lead to a strong move lower. I might trail that one if that indeed happens. So I got this pesky stop and reverse, and if it cancels, I'll use my matrix to cancel that. But I got the trade placed. I did delete one of the targets on the short side because if it gets in, I might hopefully roll the dice, and the failure to get higher might lead to a stronger move down type of idea. You never know. Really having a hard time getting traction here. So one trade so far, small loss. Well done, Karanja. The new stop and reverse, which pushes it down to 27, but it's such a small trade. I'm going to stay with the white trade since it's hiding behind that 50 moving average anyway. Let's just see what happens here. But so far, it is pretty tight range. A close above the signal line is going to cause me to cancel that stop and reverse. All right, so that did close above the signal line. So I'm canceling the stop and reverse and putting my stop back down and see what happens. So hopefully it doesn't just start diving down now. That would be salt on the wound for sure. But it did cancel, and now it is going down. Yep, figures. All right, so there's a short right there, and that would be a stop and reverse at 19. All right, let's just see. Bigger trade if it does go down. So the stop and reverse would be at 19, and it's targeting 54 and 53.92. So the $54 level might be a retest zone if it wants to come back to it.
Order filled.
It did stop and reverse. So clearly staying with the white trade, unfortunately, that would have been a good thing to do because it would have hit money management already. So now let's see if we can get a bigger move down. Remember, the failure to go higher can lead to a stronger move low. And the calculator thinks it's in the white trade because it didn't do the adjustment. I mean, you could make an argument to stay with the white trade since it triggered in unadjusted. I mean, that's a way to do this. There's so many ways. Can it get through the 200 here? Money management is there. All right, so getting to money management, you can move your stop to lock in your tick, or maybe even try to stay above the 21. I mean, you'd have to go to 18 if you got in at 19, but you might want to see about trying to stay in the trade. Put mine one tick above in this case, just to try to stay short. The retest of the 200, let's see if it could push lower. It hasn't really gotten away from the 200 moving average yet. Can we get a push down? The price action's just not very good so far, but maybe it'll capitulate. Okay, so that's good news. And the stop has moved down to 16 now. I would say stay at 19 just to try to stay short because we want to make as much as we can on this, if anything. Can't get away from that 200. We need a push. Trying to get through. Can it do it? So that stop now is moved. I'd say you could probably go to 16 if you want. It's actually even moved down to 13. Still kind of want to give it room to breathe. Getting close to full target. I mean, you could make an argument to take a little profit there. I left my stop
Order
at,
filled.
it got stopped out. That's too bad. All right, so now there's a long, 24.21. Bummer. There's a lot of backfilling, as you can see. I think Spotlight did pretty well. Yeah, it looks like Spotlight killed it. Yeah, that's right above the squeeze zone. Looks like it may cancel. It did cancel. And look at the $54. Remember I said that was a retest? It came down and bounced right off of it. John S., yeah, SPT Crude, I mean, it was one and done with, you know, our typical trade plan, both with the start of the session and I believe the crude oil session too, because, oh no, there was a short. I see the short, actually the short was a loser and then a winner. Unleaded gas was a one and done winner on Spotlight today. Really great trade. All right, another long here. This one is at 16. I'm going one tick above just to get away from that 50 moving average a little. Now there's a new setup, so go with the new one, bigger trade. So at 17, targeting 33, and the stop's at, 33 and 39, and the stop is 99. Some of you may want to adjust to 19 to get around that little swing level on the left.
Order filled.
Hasn't been able to break through that swing level either. If you made the adjustment, you might still be trying to get long here. Didn't get through it. So that's targeting 54, 33, and 39, and the stop at 99, unless if you made the two-tick adjustment, you're still trying to get long. The crude oil, this is just not a cooperative session so far. It'd be nice if all of a sudden it would make up its mind and start moving up. It's funny because ever since I said I like using counterpunch because it gets me finished quicker, Spotlight is finished quicker. I mean, it's amazing. Trying to break through that 18-cent level, having a hard time. So I hit up on it 4 times. Don't want to see a red bar closing below the signal line. That's what it looks like without the scrunching. Horrible. This is such lousy price action. It looks like it's bottoming in here perhaps though. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Could still get a stop and reverse, which wouldn't be pleasant. Want to see the green bar here. Let's push through. Go, baby. 5 times hitting on the 18-cent level. But it looks like the buyers are trying to push it over. Can't, yeah, there it goes. All right. Now we're in action. Not at money management yet. Money management is there at 27, getting as high as 26. Now we got to get through the 25-cent level, which also put up some rejection. This is a dogfight. This is some of the worst price action we've seen in a long time. Nice to find some support in here. So that's a possible stop and reverse, which would be at 09, but the histogram hasn't crossed over yet. So far, we just have to be vigilant. Unfortunately, there it is. And you'd have to go to target 3 on this, which would push it down below the 54 level if you're going to stop and reverse. And this is going to be my last trade if it stops out. This price action is too flaky. Hopefully it pushes higher. Oh, I haven't had a losing session in a long time, so it's bound to happen. But if we could push higher, this is kind of like how the early part of the session was this morning with the momentum bar and counterpunch with Crude, just tight, lousy price action with the up and down, and no follow through. Lots of spikes on these bars. Hopefully the support at 54 is done being tested. So now we're making a run. Let's see if we can push through the quarter century number. All right, there we go. So now we could lock in our 1 tick and see if we could survive that. If I just push the stop up on the matrix, you can see it moved up. Got 1 tick locked in. Can we get enough upward movement to get to a target before it pulls back down to hit the stop? And that's been the problem with the session. It's just been no follow through up or down. Let's see if we can survive now and stay in this trade. Obviously, if you were going to stop and reverse, you would cancel any shorts you might have had on there. Let's see if we can start moving. Before it was the failure to get higher meant maybe a good move down, which Spotlight was able to catch. So now the failure to get lower maybe makes a good move up. And almost at full target. Almost. Can we get there?
Order filled.
I'm taking a partial profit. So I missing full target by 1 tick. I took a partial profit on 1 position. And now the stop needs to move up to, well, 19. Whoop-de-doo. Let's see if we can survive. And I got 1 position on there. Let's see if we can get higher. Take a little bit of something off the table there. So when I did that, I went over to the matrix with my single market order matrix. It was just easier and faster just to sell at the market and then cancel one of the conditional stops. So hopefully the 25-cent level there gives support now. Resistance becomes support. And we get to push higher here. We're right on the signal line, so we really need to see another leg up. If it starts drifting lower, that's just the kind of the story of the session. Flaky, but maybe we'll get a push higher here. That's what we're after. Be nice to get all the way up to that target 3. Still haven't hit target 2, which is there. Yeah, could you move your stop up to 07? Or not 07, 24. 24 is the stop. If the price action wasn't so up, down with all the backfilling, I would consider a trailer. I mean, if it does start moving higher, maybe the buyers completely take over control. There's target 2 finally getting hit. And so now getting close to target 3, and I'm going to not fight over a couple ticks. So I just got out right there. And it did hit target 3, but I wasn't going to risk it coming back down. So I got a couple ticks below target 3. So a little bit of a comeback, and now it's starting to trail. If you're trailing the stops at 32, this could end up being a good move now. 34, 39, 43, 44. Yep, this is like I said, the buyers might take over, and they just did. So the stop could go to 48 here, depending on, yep, 48. 48, the stop could move to 49 here. There it is, 49, and stopping out at 49. So that's pretty good. Hope you guys grabbed that one. Yeah, Jeremy, I'm with you. I'm a little bit down still because I took some partial profits. I didn't let it go to their full targets. I just felt that fighting over a tick or two with the kind of price action we saw, wanted to bank some winners. So it would have been nice to keep that trailer on. Maybe some of you did. You know, it's the same type of deal where, I mean, this was awful. We got stuck in here because it was bottoming out at 54. So back in here, I'm like, hey, it may come down and test 54. And the white trade would have been a really good one to stay with. And that's a philosophical thing where I don't know the answer. It's like you do it one way or the other, and then you just have to be consistent, do it the same way every time. And what I mean by that is that unadjusted, that's a nice short at 32, but because we were already long, the entry became 29, right? Because we're going to try to protect the long trade and stay in it, ask for a little price action confirmation, and then it didn't get to 29 until, well, there was a new setup, which would have even pushed it down to 27, but then it's a real small trade, so I said, well, let's stay with the white trade. But then you had the two closes above the signal line, which cancels the setup. Now, unless you say to yourself, and this is what I mean by I don't know the right answer, unadjusted, it did trigger in. So do you cancel it then if it closes two above the signal line? I mean, you have to base that decision on either the unadjusted entry or your adjusted entry. Because remember, two closes above the signal line cancels the trade if it doesn't trigger in. Unadjusted, it triggered in. But with your adjusted short stop reversal, it didn't trigger in, and then you have your two closes. So that was enough for me to cancel the trade, although the unadjusted setup was smarter, right? That one ended up being the right thing to do. But then there are other times when you're glad you canceled. So it's really just a matter of doing it the same way every time. It's never going to be perfect. So that to me was just a missed opportunity based on just kind of how I do it. All right, so hopefully you understand what I'm getting at. So it all started, the short trade here triggered in, and it triggered in so fast that I decided to put my entry below, because I always do that. If I miss the entry and it just barely touches it, I'm going to adjust a little bit below and ask for extra price action confirmation. So for me, it never came down and touched the entry. Instead, it got long. But that long trade, even though it was a good one, stopped out first. So it wasn't a good one. I mean, it theoretically had the right idea, but it stopped out. So there's your first losing trade. Then you got the long up here, and you're thinking, okay, so it's breaking out of the range. It's breaking out of some resistance levels over to the left. Maybe this is going to go. And it doesn't. The failure to get higher led to a strong move down. It just so happened the strong move was the white trade that we canceled, unfortunately. Geniuses in hindsight. Because that would have been it right there. That would have been a really nice one. So instead, we ended up with this one. And that one got to money management, right? And then stopped out. But when it got to money management here, let's see, did it stop out yet? It's still in, still in, still in. Then it stops out. It stopped out here, but for me, I stopped out up above. I had my stop up here at 16. So it only made a couple pennies, like 3 pennies. All right? Just kind of recapping what I did, you guys might have handled it differently. This was a spotlight short, but it was not a counterpunch short. It would have been a counterpunch short, but the histogram had to get into the blue and then cross over down with the lines crossing. So it was still in the red, and that's why you don't get a short setup there. It wouldn't have triggered it anyway. So then we get the long trade here, was sitting right on the 50 moving average. So I moved it up a tick. And, you know, maybe you didn't. If you didn't, you would have triggered long. The only thing is the new trade showed up before it triggered long. And we go with the newer setup. And so does the calculator. That's why it's bright green, because that's the trackable trade. It knows to go with the green and not the white. It's pretty smart. So that was our trade. And then it triggered in. And then we had to kind of live through this long development process. And we had a possible stop and reverse. But here's a case where the stop and reverse adjustment really helps, right? Because if you didn't adjust, you would have triggered in on this green bar here. See that? But our adjustment kept us long, thankfully. Because then the failure to get lower led to a strong move higher. There's always that idea. And, you know, I probably now in hindsight, when I look back at this, would have been a good idea to trail, just knowing that the failure to get lower could have moved to a move higher. And I mentioned to you while we were in this mess that the buyers might take over, which they did. So when we missed, just to let you know what I did, right here it misses target 2 by 1 tick, right there, and then starts coming off. And remember, we just have been going through this horrible action of up, down, no follow through, lots of spikes. So I'm like, I'm going to take a little profit, not going to fight over 1 tick. So I took a partial profit on one of the positions, moved the stop up, took the risk off the rest of the trade, then the stop just started, I started trailing the signal line, and it hung in there, and then it pushed through. Again, it missed. I probably should have waited a little longer on target 3. I got in 2 ticks below target 3. Again, that's just my idea of wanting to not fight over 1 tick. If I was to trail, I wouldn't have done anything except trailed, which in the end you see was a little better, because target 3 is here and the trailer is a little bit higher, which may, you know, that might have made a difference. Well, it did make a difference. 10-cent difference. Okay? So if anyone was still trading then, there was a short, but it didn't trigger in because, like the long, it got replaced by another short, which then canceled. Then you had you're in the chop zone, and because the short is above the 50 moving average, it's filtered out, and it comes back on this bar, and then it stabs up, but it may have happened too quickly. I don't know. Not a lot of time, and in which case, you might have marketed in or not just missed the trade. It was a winner and a nice one, coming back down to test the $54 level. If you missed that, I guess you could have taken this one, and that one also is a winner. And this one's a winner. So a lot of nice trades now on the short side too. So if you kept trading, it's a winning session with that additional short is my guess. All right, so are there any questions about what happened so far or on this session? Spotlight did very well. Just going to take a quick look at Spotlight. So just using the same rules, this is with the 5-tick momentum bar, waiting 2 minutes. And there's the 2-minute mark there. So you get the short, and the first trade loses, just like we lost on Counterpunch. So that loses 15 cents. Then you get another short, and that's going to be a really nice winner. It's really straightforward. There's not as much thinking and worrying about stop and reversals with Spotlight, although it could happen. It's just not as frequent as you would see with Counterpunch with that choppy action. But this one is 17 ticks at target 2, and that's really the power of quitting trade. Because it goes down, it hits target 3, it hits target 4. In 2 trades, you should be finished. You do have a short here. If you keep trading, that's going to lose, even though it looks like it should be a good trade. But remember, this is where the support was at 54 and where the bottom was taking place. So if you're trading into this short, which looks like it could be really good, it was not an incorrect trade, except that it was after power of quitting. But apart from that, it's the correct trade, and it's a trade that could be very successful. It just wasn't. So you can't worry about it losing. It's just a losing trade. And then the strong move in the opposite direction picks off a winner, a nice winner, and then another winner. So Spotlight did excellent. Wasn't perfect, but it was still very good. Positive regardless. Okay? And then we got John Huckle in the house today. I haven't seen him in a while, so for that reason, let's at least look at the 610 tick. He mentioned there was a trade that got the 1 tick break even. So waiting 5 minutes. John, just correct me if I'm screwing up your plan here. That's the long, yeah? That's not quite 5 minutes, but once it triggers in, it is. So I'm assuming that was okay for 1 tick gain, and then a short for a full winner. So it looks like the 610 tick, yeah, so it looks like the long and then the short, and a break even and a full winner and power of quitting on the 610 tick. So well done on that. And some nice swings afterwards. Yeah, good job. So, I mean, everything did really well except, you know, the 377 tick, the one I typically prefer, was the worst today compared to the others, although it did finish strong. So if anyone kept trading, which really you could have, I don't know, I lost count of the trades. I think there might have been room for one more. If you're doing 5 or 6 trades, there was the 1, the 2, the 3, that wasn't one, 4. Yeah, so a 5th and a 6th trade would have been the right thing to do. I probably should have counted it and bid a little more on top of that too to catch this downdraft here, which would have made a big difference. All right, but that's a wrap. That's the session. Let me know if you have any questions. Oh, one more thing I'll show you because it's a good one also. I just got to change the symbol. It's unleaded gas. The Spotlight, I think. Oh no, that's Counterpunch. That's not the one. Let's go over to Spotlight and grab unleaded. And does this have? Yeah. So waiting 2 minutes, and right here you had one 7 minutes in. It was a short trade, first trade of the session, and a perfect target 2 winner for 78 ticks, $4.28 a tick, and then the trailer, and done. So one and done on unleaded. Really great. So that one continues to do very well with the crude oil report. Probably winning about 75% is my guess. I haven't been tracking it that carefully, but that has been kind of its story.